You wake up, shower, dress, and check yourself in the mirror. Something feels off about your appearance today. You adjust your clothes, try a different expression, but that nagging feeling remains. You're late for work, so you leave anyway, carrying that small weight of insecurity. At the office, you hesitate before speaking in the meeting. What if your idea sounds stupid? What if people judge you? The moment passes, and someone else shares a similar thought to applause. The weight on your shoulders grows heavier. This pattern plays out in countless ways throughout your life. Dating choices made from fear rather than desire. Career paths chosen for approval rather than passion. Opinions voiced or silenced based on what others might think. Always calculating the potential judgment. Always dancing to avoid criticism. The Japanese have a name for this weight that many of us carry, Sekentei. It translates roughly to social appearance, the constant concern about how others perceive you. In Western terms, we might call it people-pleasing or social anxiety, but Sekentei captures something deeper, the invisible prison we build around ourselves from the bricks of other people's opinions. I discovered this concept while reading The Courage to be Disliked, a book that explores Japanese philosopher Ichiro Kishimi's interpretation of Adlerian psychology. The central question posed is startlingly simple yet profound. Why do you care so much what others think of you? Most of us would answer, because that's normal. Everyone cares what others think. This brings us to the first realization about Sekentei. We often don't question our need for social approval. We accept it as a fact of life, like gravity or taxes. Alfred Adler, the Austrian psychotherapist whose ideas formed the backbone of this philosophy, proposed something radical. Our fear of others' judgment is not innate. We choose it. We learn it. And most importantly, we can unlearn it. Think about small children before they develop self-consciousness. They dance without rhythm, sing off-key, and create art without worrying if it's good. Their joy comes from the act itself, not the evaluation of it. What happens between that pure self-expression and adulthood is the slow accumulation of Sekentei, layers of concern about external validation that eventually become so familiar we mistake them for our own skin. The price we pay for this concern is steep. Research from the University of Michigan found that people who base their self-worth on external validation report higher levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. They experience less autonomy and more conflict in relationships. Ryan Holiday, modern Stoic philosopher, frames it differently. The only validation that matters is your own. Everything else is just noise. The freedom from Sekentei begins with a simple but uncomfortable truth. You cannot control what others think of you. No matter how carefully you curate your image, no matter how perfectly you behave, someone will misunderstand you, disagree with you, or simply not like you. This is not a pessimistic view, it's liberation. When I first encountered this idea, I rejected it. Surely through careful management of impressions, I could ensure universal approval. Then I remembered all the times I'd done everything right and still faced criticism. All the moments when I'd bend myself into painful shapes to please others, only to find they weren't even paying attention. The second truth about Sekentei is more challenging. Other people's opinions of you are about them, not you. When someone judges you, they're viewing you through the lens of their own experiences, biases, traumas, and beliefs. Their judgment reveals more about their inner landscape than about your worth. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "We should not worry about what others think of us. Each person has their own soul and their own struggles." This perspective shift is radical. It means that the judgment you fear isn't even really about you, it's about the judge. The third truth about Sekentei leads to freedom. You can choose to live for your own approval rather than others. This doesn't mean becoming selfish or inconsiderate. Instead, it means defining your own values and living by them, regardless of external validation or criticism. Dr. Brené Brown, research professor and author, frames this as authenticity, the daily practice of letting go of who we think we should be and embracing who we actually are. The practical application of this philosophy requires asking new questions. What would I do if no one would judge me? What do I truly want, separate from what I've been told to want? What are my own values, not those I've adopted to please others? These questions often lead to uncomfortable answers. You might realize you're in the wrong career, relationship, or social circle. You might discover desires you've been suppressing or talents you've neglected because they didn't fit others' expectations. A former colleague of mine spent 15 years climbing the corporate ladder in finance because her parents defined success through income and status. When she finally confronted her Sekentei, she realized her passion was education. The transition was difficult. She faced confusion and even disappointment from those who had defined her by her previous role. Yet she describes the freedom from others' expectations as finally being able to breathe after years of holding my breath. The journey away from Sekentei isn't linear. You don't simply decide one day to stop caring about others' opinions and then never struggle again. It's a practice, a continuous choice to return to your own values when you find yourself slipping into the habit of living for external validation. Psychologist Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and author of Man's Search for Meaning, offered this wisdom. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. When you feel the weight of Sekentei, that fear of judgment, that need for approval, recognize the space between that feeling and your action. In that space lies your freedom to choose differently. Start small. Express an unpopular but honest opinion. Wear something you love but worry might draw attention. Create something without sharing it for validation. Each act of authentic self-expression builds the muscle of inner approval. The paradox of releasing Sekentei is that when you stop performing for others' approval, you often form more authentic connections. People are drawn to authenticity because it gives them permission to be authentic too. Your freedom from the prison of others' opinions doesn't just change your life, it creates ripples. Every time you choose authenticity over performance, you make it safer for others to do the same. Tonight, look in the mirror again. But this time, instead of checking how others might see you, ask yourself, am I living by my own values today? Am I being true to myself? This is the only approval that truly matters. The weight of Sekentei is one we choose to carry. And any day, any moment, we can choose to set it down.